Hi, James here from Raisley. Why don't you join me and listen in to a conversation I have with Tom, Raisley's CEO, around some of the key insights he found out through the 2021 Fundraising Insights webinar. There's some real gold in it, and I'm sure you'll enjoy. Hey, Tom, it's great to connect this morning with you. Thanks for making some time.
Yeah,
You
no
the other day had a really cool webinar in which we kind of do annually at Raisley, which is looking at some of our insights for 2021. And I thought I'd get you on and help you just maybe share some of maybe three of the things that you found really intriguing about those insights that you can share with our sort of our Raisley audience out there. So what have we got? What were some of the things that came out of it?
Yeah, it was a really interesting set of insights that I think we released. And the first thing that I think is always interesting with these insights is the change over time. And that's particularly looking at the last 2 years have been tumultuous, to say the least. And so what was interesting about these is we looked at average donation amounts and average fundraising amounts for giving and P2P campaigns and how those have changed. And we already know that online fundraising is growing faster than it ever has before. The rate of growth during the pandemic has doubled. That's not our data, that's Blackboard data. But alongside that growth, we're seeing more successful, more sophisticated fundraising campaigns. And so what we've seen there is that the average donation of peer-to-peer to a peer-to-peer campaign has grown significantly since we first did this data in 2019. And the same for which is directly correlated with the average amount that a fundraiser raises. So someone signs up to a peer-to-peer campaign, asks their friends for money. That average person is raising, again, significantly more than they were in 2019. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really interesting indicator as we look at kind of the state of digital and charity fundraising online at the moment. The first one. And I've got two more, don't I?
Yeah, I was going to say fire either. But that's a really interesting one because I think a lot of people thought the market would go differently a little bit, but we've seen there's such a huge strength in that. But yeah, go on. What else came up?
So we released, I don't know if anyone here saw the webinars, but we released a few models. And in those models, what we looked at was kind of the factors, particularly when we're talking about a peer-to-peer campaign, the factors that affect activation and the amount raised. The first kind of really interesting insight is around profile activation. And I think we did look at these two things because they are so tied to the success of a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. So when I think about a peer-to-peer campaign, there are three things ultimately I need to do. The first one is I need to acquire fundraisers. Second is I need to activate them. I need to get them to raise their first dollar. And then the third is I need to get them as close to their goal as possible, if not beyond that. Yeah. And so activation is interesting because once you activate, it's easy to continue on. It really is that first hurdle. And if you've ever participated in a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign, you'll know that seeing money on the page makes such a big difference. And so we looked at what made a difference there. And obviously, self-donations help to an extent. And what we actually looked at was, obviously, if I donate to myself, I've activated. I've raised more than $0. That's 100% true 100% of the time. Yeah. But it also makes it more likely for me to get a donation from a friend.
Yeah.
But the single greatest factor for profile activation was sharing a page. And I mean, what a simple insight. And people who share are 50% more likely to activate. And that is huge. And I mean, I don't think anyone's surprised by a stat like that, but seeing it in such stark contrast to everything else you can possibly do, the next one is adding a photo to your page at about half that. I think just reinforces how important those social networks are to profile activation.
And it seems like such an easy step, but it's amazing that if you didn't think about that when you're setting up your profiles and your templates and all that, to make that a key element.
Yeah.
That'd be first and foremost. You could just miss out on such a huge opportunity.
Totally. I mean, and we pop it in, all of Raisley's templates have it by default, the fact that you should share. So we've got we call it the profile helper. We probably should think of a better name for it, but it's a little block at the top of the dashboard that says, your profile is 10%, 20% complete. You've added a photo, but you haven't shared yet. And I mean, this is kind of anecdotal, but since adding that, we've seen activation rates go up. And I think it has a big role to play. We've seen that pattern everywhere. We see it on LinkedIn. We see it on other social media sites. Completing your profile and having, in our case, sharing being one of the essential steps to do that, I think is really powerful.
Yeah, brilliant. I love that focus on activation. We recently put up a blog literally on that topic of how you help people off the starting blocks. And I think that sort of stuff is great to be thinking about.
Yeah.
Cool. Good insight. And you said you have 3. What's the third one? I'm curious.
Yeah. So the other one then is about how much you raise as a peer-to-peer fundraiser. And we've done this model a few times. Our activation model, this is the first time, but we've looked into the factors compared to the amount raised a few times now. And kind of the things at the top have always been a little bit surprising. Like we've learned that being a part of a team is like neither here nor there. And that was the same in 2019 as it was now. Having a description on your fundraising page is super important. Having a blog post is important. That was surprising back in 2019. The thing that stood out to me this time was that matched giving has a really substantial impact on amount raised in a campaign beyond the matching itself. So in our model, we kind of looked at how much someone raised, and we actually found that having a matched giving period in your peer-to-peer fundraiser means that your fundraisers raise, I think it's about 10% more when you exclude the matched gift. So obviously they raise more because there's matching coming through and that helps them raise. But when we take that out, they're still raising more. Matching helps people raise more. I think it's a really interesting insight because, I mean, a lot of organizations, big or small, do have access to major donors. And even if it's just a $5,000 or $10,000 match giving pool, it can make a really substantial impact to your campaign. You can keep it proportionate to the size of your campaign. It could be a few $1,000s. But just having that little extra motivation, that extra sweetener really helps, particularly if you push it through to give your campaign a new lease in life kind of in its second or third week when things are normally starting to peter off a little bit to really kind of push people through to the end of that giving period. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And it enables, I'm sure, so many charities, particularly peer-to-peer stuff, to sort of leveraging their great sponsorship opportunities.
Absolutely.
Through those. It was cool. I saw an update the other day from Flynn, who was talking about that. We've now got, you can set up match givings concurrently.
Yeah.
Which is just brilliant. As you have as many of them as you want, they can overlap and so you can create a really, really great match giving experience around that.
Yeah, that feature is really important because for community fundraising, and like when I'm talking about peer-to-peer community fundraising, DIY fundraising is a type of peer-to-peer. That feature means that you can have a company set up a team and people can donate to that page and those donations can be matched at the same time another company is running a fundraiser all on the same hub, which is kind of what that feature allows. And I mean, seeing the importance of matched donations to how much you raise, I'm so glad we're able to get that out.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Tom, if people want to know more about the insights from 2021, they can actually go and check out our webinar as well, and there'll be different sort of things popping up and sort of little snippets that we're going to grab over the next sort of month or two out of that. But we love that you do that and take some time to really sort of dive into the analytics of what's happening in Raisley to provide those. I think it's great. Mate, we'll finish off, but I want to ask you, what are some of the things that you're celebrating at Raisley at the moment?
Yeah, there's 2 big things we're celebrating. One, we just kind of let fly by. There's a bit of a LinkedIn post, but Pro Bono recently did a report on Australia's most reputable charities, at least the top 5. And the top 5 most reputable charities in Australia are using Raisley. And that is remarkable and something we're really proud of here, that they're using, trusting our platform to do their fundraising and raising millions on it. So that was awesome to see. Second thing, we launched our new appeal template this week, and it's been months in the works. We've had our old appeal template for about 2 years, and it's seen us through the most of the pandemic, and it was time for an update. And so we have this great new design. It's packed with different row templates that you can explore to build a really beautiful appeal, and it works great for a simple appeal with just a little bit of context through to like a full-on narrative-based story page that you can really tell your donors a really compelling story of impact for them to give to your cause. So that's launched now, and it's really the start of a whole lot of new templates for us that we're working on behind the scenes. And so it's been great to get that one out.
Yeah, that one's worth celebrating. I spent all of yesterday on that template.
Yeah, good fun.
And it's great. It's going to be a really great piece for many of our customers and new customers as well. Hey, Tom, thanks again for your time. It's great to connect, and I'm sure we'll touch base in the meeting very, very shortly sometime next week.
See you later.
Good to see you, mate. I hope you found that helpful just as much as I did and the team at Raisley. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've got any comments or questions, don't forget to drop them below. Until next time, stay ambitious.